Hello guys, welcome back to Exmo Gaming, and this is a video that was suggested on the Discord by Peel's Good Lol. So guys, if you do have any other video suggestions, you can either join the Discord and let me know there, or just send me an email, which is on the YouTube channel in the About section, and I'll look into it and we'll see what the video is like, and then we'll do a reaction to the video. So this is US Army v Special Forces, or the Green Berets. So we'll jump straight in because I don't know much about these two units, but I can imagine they're pretty fucking nails.
Army Rangers. Army Special Forces. Two of the United States Army's most highly trained and lethal warriors. What sets them apart? What do they have in common? What can they do? Let's take a dive into what you need to know about Rangers and Special Forces. We'll start off the video with a brief introduction on both of these units. First up is the Army Rangers. The Army Rangers are a lethal, agile, flexible force, and are the Army's premier direct action raid force, who are capable of conducting many complex joint special operations missions. They are an elite light infantry unit. Next is the Army Special Forces. Army Special Forces, which is also referred to as Green Berets, are an unconventional special operations force, capable of training and leading unconventional warfare forces or clandestine guerrilla forces in an occupied nation.
So are Rangers not classed as special forces, or are they more just kind of a better trained regular force? Kind of like our Royal Marine Commandos are not classed as special forces, but they are extremely highly trained, specialized unit. Is that kind of the same with the Rangers and the Green Berets? If you know, put it in the comments so I know. But I do know the Green Berets were used for sort of guerrilla training and stuff like that. I did know that about the Green Berets. That's kind of their specialist role, to sort of go in and train local forces in things like guerrilla warfare.
Many of their operational techniques are classified. Now that we've given you a brief overview on both of them, we're going to go deeper into each of their capabilities, missions, and opportunities. Let's go over the Rangers first. These guys are capable of a lot, so sit tight as we list what they can do. There are three pillars that make up the Ranger mission: Special Operations Raids, Forcible Entry Operations, and Special Reconnaissance. They can conduct airborne and air assault operations, seize key terrain such as airfields, destroy strategic facilities, and can execute missions that involve intelligence and counterintelligence, combat search and rescue, personnel recovery and hostage rescue, and counter-terrorism. And this is only scratching the surface.
They are very much they seem to be very much a sort of all-round specialized unit, kind of, masters of a lot of things.
Conducting missions through regimental-sized operations, and are resourced to maintain exceptional proficiency, experience, and readiness. They deploy often, and their deployments tend to be around 3 months long. They can be rapidly deployed within 18 hours of notification. Just think about that. No matter where they are, what's going on, or what they're asked to do, they can be on their way to anywhere in the world in less than a day. So you have an idea of what Rangers can do, but do you know what schools and training they can receive? And before you think about it, don't fret. We'll get into their initial training pipeline later in the video. Because of their diverse mission set, Rangers can be sent to a multitude of schools and receive a lot of training. To name some, they can go to SEER School, Special Operations Combat Medic Course, or SOCM for short, Sniper School, Air Assault School, the Jungle, Mountain, and Arctic Warfare Schools, Military Freefall, Sapper, Combat Diver Course, JTAC, and much more. Rangers are able to receive a lot of additional training because of how diverse these soldiers are. Unlike the Green Berets, Rangers have several different MOSs that are in regiment. The list of MOSs that a Ranger can be is super long, and we won't bore you by listing them all. Instead, here's a picture of them. Yeah, there's a lot. If you're not one of these MOSs, sorry, you can't be in regiment. Rangers also have the opportunity to serve in a Regimental Reconnaissance Company and Delta Force. Both of these units are Tier 1 Special Missions units within the United States military. Only the best of the best are selected for these units, and each of them has a grueling selection process. We've done videos on both of these elite units, but you'll be better off waiting
That looks like
until
fun.
you're watching this video to go give them a look if you haven't seen them already. Alright, now it's time to go over the capabilities, missions, and opportunities for Green Berets. Green Berets possess a wide variety of skills and expertise that make them a vital and lethal asset in the battlefield. Here comes another list for you. Green Berets
Look at that, that's cool.
non-doctrinal missions: unconventional warfare, foreign internal defense, direct action, counterinsurgency, special reconnaissance, counterterrorism, information operations, counter-proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, and security force assistance.
So I could be wrong, but weren't the I believe the Green Berets were they the first unit in the US military to wear berets? I could be wrong about that, but they kind of seem like the first unit that would wear berets in the US military.
As you noticed, the first on that list was unconventional warfare, which is the cornerstone of what they do. Unconventional warfare consists of activities conducted to enable a resistance movement or insurgency to coerce, disrupt, or overthrow a government or occupying power by operating through or within an underground, auxiliary, and guerrilla force in a denied area.
Is that a hey-ho jump or a halo jump?
Saying that Green Berets can be in South America, training military police to fight drug cartels, or assembling guerrilla armies in Vietnam. It's their bread and butter to be working with and training foreign entities. Some of their other duties and responsibilities are combat search and rescue, counter-narcotics, hostage rescue, humanitarian assistance, humanitarian demining, peacekeeping, psychological operations, and manhunts. Due to their language training, they can be deployed anywhere in the world where they have received training on the culture and language of the region. Special Forces soldiers deploy under ODAs, which stands for Operational Detachments Alpha. A SF company normally consists of around 6 ODAs, with each one bringing a specific skill set to the mission at hand. We'll discuss ODAs more in depth during the structure breakdown later in the video. Hey there, we hope that you're enjoying the video so far. General Discharge has a Patreon. If you'd like to help support the channel, please consider joining the team. Links in the description. Now back to the video. On top of their lengthy pipeline, which includes...
I'll leave that in there because it is a really well done video. So if you guys want to head over there, I'll put a link in the description.
On where they are placed. They can go to Air Assault School, Mountain Warfare, Sapper.
So they're really a extremely highly trained unit. If they can speak different languages and they are trained in different cultures, that is a lot of training. It's not easy for a lot of people just to pick up second, third, fourth languages. So for these guys to be able to do that, especially considering a lot of people look down on sort of the fighting troop, the grunts, the infantry guys, and a lot of these guys will come from the infantry. That will, I'm assuming, be people that join from outside the infantry. I'm not too sure how it works in America, but you know, in the special forces in the UK, you can join from sort of outside the infantry. It's an all-arms sort of course. But people look down on the infantry for being kind of like the thickos of the bunch. But if these guys are learning multiple languages, and like I said, I speak a little bit of Pashtun, and that's just purely because, you know, we used it and we needed it, and it is very much terms and phrases that I used daily while out in Afghanistan. So this is crazy. This is really, you know, the amount of training, and I know the American Special Forces do get a lot of academic training, maybe more so than British Special Forces. I'm not too sure. So anyway, we'll just jump back into the video.
Pathfinder, Sniper School, Combat Dive School, SOCM, and even Ranger School. And no, that doesn't make them a Ranger. They just earn the tab. When we go over the initial training pipelines, you'll understand why this makes sense. You probably noticed we said that both Rangers and Green Berets can go to SOCM. The key difference, however, is that Rangers go to the short course, and Green Berets go to the long course. The long course, which is Special Forces Medical Sergeant, or SFMS for short, is an additional 4-month course on top of SOCM.
Jesus, 4 months.
Available to Green Berets and Navy Starks. Another commonality that Green Berets have with the Rangers is their ability to join Delta Force. But this is not a guarantee, nor are they given favoritism over Rangers. But that's all we'll say about that. To wrap up the capabilities, we will show you all of the MOSs that make up Special Forces. There are less MOSs in SF than there are for their Ranger counterparts. Here's a list of them. Pause the video if you want to take a longer look. Alright, we just went over with you all a very brief breakdown of what Rangers and Green Berets are capable of. For a quick recap, you just learned that the main difference between the two is that Rangers are a fast, hard-hitting, elite light infantry force that does a lot of direct action raids, whereas Green Berets focus more on unconventional warfighting. You'll come to realize that even though they both fall under USASOC, comparing these two is like apples and oranges. So what if you wanted to be a Ranger or a Green Beret? What would your journey look like, and what would it take? Let's go over their training pipelines and the requirements to get into them. Just keep in mind, the goal of this video is to introduce you to everything. We can't go over every intricate detail, otherwise this video would be over an hour long. If you want to learn more, we encourage you to do your own research. If you set your sights on becoming a Ranger, and you join with an Option 40 contract as a civilian, your pipelines to become a Ranger will look something like this. Basic training / OSUT, RASP, and then Airborne School. Sounds simple, right? Wrong. It's much more challenging than it seems. After one-station unit training, which is a combination of basic training and advanced individual training, you'll go to RASP 1, which stands for Ranger Assessment and Selection Program. RASP 1 is 8 weeks long, and trains soldiers in the pay grades E1 through E5 in the basic...
So this is kind of one of the major differences between the UK and the US Special Forces communities, is that in America, I believe you can join Special Forces straight from Civilian Street. Now in the British military, that is not doable. You need to at least be serving already before you can then move on to Special Forces. So it always got me. I think the first time I sort of saw this was in what's the film? American Sniper, where he kind of just joined straight from Civvy Street and straight into the Special Forces, and that really confused me. That really surprised me as well, that they will take people just straight off the street into Special Forces. Like I said, in the British military, you kind of, I don't think there's an official sort of minimum time limit. You have to be in the military before you can go for things like SAS, SBS, or the SRR. But there certainly might be sort of unofficial time limits, like, you know, they expect a couple of years service before you then go for your selection process. So yeah, that really surprised me, and that's kind of the main difference between the UK and the American in terms of their Special Forces communities.
Skills and tactics in order to operate in the 75th Ranger Regiment. Now there's a RASP 2, which is 3 weeks long, and is for senior non-commissioned officers, warrant officers, and commissioned officers. This course assesses the suitability of mid and senior grade leaders for assignment to the regiment, and teaches them the operational techniques and standards of the Ranger Regiment. So this means you'll be tested slightly differently if you happen to want to get into the 75th Ranger Regiment later in your Army career. Just to give you an idea of how tough Ranger training is, RASP 1 has a 53% attrition rate, and RASP 2 has a 74% attrition rate. If you make it through RASP, you'll go to the U.S. Army Jump School to receive your jump wings, and then you'll report to your respective Ranger battalion. You are now a Scrolled Ranger. This is the Ranger Scroll. But what does this mean? Well, while you are in regiment, and you have your tan beret, you're not completely done yet. You still need to go to Ranger School, where you will earn your Ranger Tab, which looks like this.
Okay.
Once you are tapped and scrolled, you have now permanently earned your place in the 75th Ranger Regiment. The Ranger Tab is something that anyone who was sent to Ranger School can earn. It's essentially a qualification in small unit leadership. Members from all branches can attend Ranger School and earn the Ranger Tab, such as Navy SEALs,
But you need the Ranger
SARS,
Scroll
Air Force personnel, and
to be a proper Ranger.
That doesn't make them a bona fide Army Ranger like those who are on regiment. While it may seem confusing at first, it is a pretty simple concept once you're familiar with it. Okay, you know the journey that lies ahead of you if you want to be.
So that's kind of like, so you can go and do things like your Army Commando course, or you can go and do All Arms Jump course. So you can get your jump wings or your Commando dagger, but you are not a Marine or a Para. They are just All Arms courses to get the extra tab, or flash as we call it. So the courses you can attend, you pass the courses, okay, brilliant, you've got your jump wings, but you are not a Para, because you are not within the parachute regiment. You are just trained, and you have done the P Company course. So I think it's the same as that. You can get your Ranger tab, but unless you're actually in Rangers, you are not a ranger. You've just done the course. So yeah, I think that's kind of what it's getting at.
Your ranger. But what are the requirements to get your foot in the door? Well, first off, you need to have a GT score of 105 on your ASVAB.
I don't know what that
If you
is.
don't have that, start studying. In order for a soldier to qualify to attend RASP, they must be able to pass the ranger screening, which includes a psychological review, background check, and a urinalysis. And then you'll have to pass the RASP entry fitness test, which has a minimum
That's
requirement
nails.
of 53 push-ups, 63 sit-ups, a 2-mile run in 14 minutes and 30 seconds or less, 4 pull-ups, and a 6-mile ruck run with a 35-pound ruck and weapon in less than 90.
So that, I mean, talking now, you know, I'm a fat civvy now. So yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm actually not. But when I was back in my younger, fitter days, that's not that hard. And you know, at the end of the day, that is just the entry test. So obviously, the actual test once you get in. So for example, for us, the PFT time or the personal fitness test time, which is a mile and a half, in selection, I think it's like 11.5 minutes. But when you actually pass selection and you go to training, it drops down to 10.5 minutes. I think I can't remember what it was in selection, to be honest, but it is 10.5 minutes once you get into training and once you're accepted into the military. So that is their entry fitness test, but obviously their actual physical tests will be a million times harder. I have no doubt of that. So that doesn't seem that hard. Again, I couldn't do it now because I'm a fat civvy, but I could probably do that without too many issues back when I was younger, when I was young and fit and keen, which obviously isn't now.
We'll leave you with this before we move on to Special Forces. The only way to guarantee a shot at becoming a Ranger is by signing an Option 40 contract. While you may get the opportunity to volunteer for RASP if you join with a different contract, there is no guarantee the Army will afford you the chance. The same goes for officers. There's no guarantee you can become a Ranger if you join the Army as an officer.
Right.
Alright, now that you just got the basic breakdown of the Rangers training pipeline, let's
Oh god,
imagine
they're
you
wet.
want to be a Green Beret. What would your path
They're so wet.
If you're joining as a civilian with an 18 X-ray contract, your first step will be Infantry OSUT. After OSUT, you'll attend Special Forces Preparation Course, or SFPC, which prepares you for the rigors ahead in SFAS, teaching you land navigation along the way. After SFPC, you'll go to SFAS, which is short for Special Forces Assessment and Selection. And if selected, you'll also attend jump school. While all SF candidates go through SFAS together, their
God, look at that.
qualifications may differ depending on their specialty that they are given. Their qualification course, often referred to as their Q course, varies. For example, SF-18 Deltas will go through several months of schooling in SOCM and SFMS before they are finished with their training, whereas an 18 Bravo SF member will go through roughly 10 weeks of training for their specialty. There are multiple phases that an SF candidate goes through before they're finished with
that's
their
horrible.
initial training. Here are the phases. Phase 1, SFAS, which is 4 weeks, and Course Orientation in History, which is 7 weeks. SFAS is a 4-week course where soldiers will be put through several physical and mental tests, and if they are selected at the end, they are green lit to continue training. The Orientation and History part is, and you'll be shocked when you hear this, is where candidates will learn about the history and structure of SF. Phase 2, Language and Culture, 18 to 25 weeks. This is where soldiers learn their specific language they are assigned to learn, as well as the culture of the areas they will be operating in. Phase 3, SF Tactical Combat Skills and SEER, 13 weeks.
See, that's really good. I really do like that language and culture course, and I believe it's probably something that needs to be spread out more, just to normal soldiers as well, especially when you look at the countries that soldiers are deployed to nowadays, the Middle East, Africa, you know, stuff like that. Their cultures are inherently completely different to Western culture, so maybe that needs to be pushed out more. I know we do a little bit of it in sort of pre-deployment training, but maybe a little bit more understanding couldn't go amiss. You know, it's never going to steer you wrong really, and it's never going to be a bad thing.
This is where they learn, as it says, small unit tactics and attend the SEER level C course. Phase 4, MOS training. Time varies. This is where the candidates are sent to their designated MOS career paths that we discussed before. Phase 5, Robin stage. 4 weeks. The culmination phase for SF candidates. Soldiers must put all the skills they have learned throughout SFQC to the test in an conventional warfare training exercise located throughout 15 different counties of North Carolina. Phase 6, graduation, 1 week. Now officially finished with training, soldiers officially don their green berets for the first time and go through a week of out processing. As you can see, the Special Forces pipeline is much longer than the Rangers pipeline. This doesn't mean one is better than the other. It simply means that each entity
different roles,
has a different purpose and goal for what they bring to the table in the world of special operations. So what are the requirements to even get the ball rolling? As a civilian, you will have to meet these basic requirements to obtain an 18 X-ray contract. Be a U.S. citizen, be at least 20 years old by your ship date to Infantry OSA, and not have reached your 32nd birthday prior to the same ship date. Qualify for airborne training, meet the PFA minimum standard of 49 push-ups, 59 sit-ups, 15 minutes and 12 seconds 2-mile run, and 6 pull-ups. Eligible for a secret security clearance. For active duty soldiers.
So again, that fitness requirements aren't too hard. Most that attend selection for the British Army would probably pass those selection requirements, or those initial entry requirements. Again, like I said, the physical requirements, once you're probably past that entry level, are going to be insane, and that's kind of where it really gets hard, you know what I mean? That selection process, or that minimum requirement, is just to get people in the door, and I can guarantee these guys have a very, very high sort of fail rate. So, yeah.
Both enlisted and officers, there are several other requirements that must be met, but it would take a long time to go over these details. For the sake of time, we will leave a link in the description to the official U.S. Army's website that goes over in detail what is required. Lastly, for the requirements, another step in your process to get into the Special Forces pipeline is by taking the DLAB, which stands for Defense Language Aptitude Battery, which is a test where you can learn a made-up language to see how you will perform when you start learning an actual language. The language you learn will affect where you will be placed once you finish your training. Some of these languages may be Farsi, Spanish, French, Russian, Mandarin, Indonesian, Tagalog, and Arabic. Also, if you already know one of the languages we have mentioned, they will most likely train you in another one so they can double dip and have someone who knows several languages instead of just one extra.
Really does make sense.
Let's pretend you made it through one of these pipelines. Now you're getting put to work. Where do you go? How is everything structured? Let's get into it. As an Army Ranger in the 75th Ranger Regiment, you can be stationed in 3 different locations at 5 different battalions. Here are the locations. 1st Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, is at Hunter Army Airfield, Georgia. 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, is at Fort Lewis, Washington. 3rd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, is at Fort Benning, Georgia. Regimental Special Troops Battalion is at Fort Benning, Georgia. And finally, the Regimental Military Intelligence Battalion, which is at Fort Benning, Georgia. Now let's go over the structure of the 75th Ranger Regiment. We've covered the structure of them before, but we're going to go over it again for the sake of comparison. For a quick broad strokes breakdown of the 75th Ranger Regiment, each battalion has an HHC company and Alpha, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, and Echo companies, respectively. The Regimental Special Troops Battalion has a reconnaissance, communications, military intelligence, and selection and training company. There's way more to it, but you won't need to know the specifics until you're actually in regiment. Now let's move on to the Green Berets. There are 7 groups that make up 1st Special Forces Command, which is the overarching makeup of the Green Berets. Each group gets deployed to different locations and has different tasks at hand. As a Green Beret, you can be stationed at 1st SF Group, which is based out of Joint Base Lewis McChord, Washington, and Okinawa, Japan.
Oh, really?
3rd SF Group at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. 5th SF Group at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. 7th SF Group at Eglin Air Force Base, Florida. 10th SF Group at Fort Carson, Colorado, and Stuttgart, Germany. 19th SF Group, a National Guard component at Draper, Utah. 20th SF Group, also a National Guard component.
Wait, what happened to all the other ones?
Alabama. That's a lot of places. Now let's get into the basic breakdown of the SF groups. We're going to keep this as simple.
So I went from like 10th to 10th to 19th
19th
Special Forces Group. What happened to the others?
B teams, and A teams.
So 18s.
C teams are the headquarters element of an SF battalion, with command and control capabilities and logistical support responsibilities.
Understandable.
The battalions usually consist of 4 companies. In these companies, the headquarters element is the B teams, Composed of 11 to 13 soldiers, the purpose of the B team is to support the company's A teams, both in garrison and in
So
the
A
field.
teams are the
Now
actual
we're on to the A teams,
guys out on the
which are
ground.
referred to as the ODAs, like we previously mentioned in this video. They are the operational elements of an SF unit.
Okay.
An SF company typically consists of 6 ODAs, each of them specializing in an infiltration skill or particular mission set. Examples of these are military freefall teams, combat diver teams, mountain teams, mobility teams, and others. An ODA consists of 12 soldiers, each of whom has a specific function on the team. However, all members of an ODA conduct cross-training. And that pretty much covers it for the structure of SF units. We'll leave the picture on screen for you to look at if you want a better idea of the breakdown of it. Pause the video if you want to take a longer look. Well, that is the down and dirty of the U.S. Army Rangers and Special Forces. Whew, we covered a lot in this video. If you're still with us, you're awesome. You probably learned a lot about Rangers and Green Berets. We're sure you'll come to realize that both of these entities are a force to be reckoned with and have made an everlasting impact in the world of special operations. We'll leave you with some videos we think you should check out. We did videos individually on both.
So that's kind of the end of the sort of information on the US Army Rangers and the Green Berets. So obviously, like it said, they are two separate forces. They have two separate roles. One isn't better than the other because they are separate units who have separate mission types. So they kind of be hard to compare in terms of sort of skill level. Because again, the Green Berets would do better than the Army Rangers at counter or insurgency warfare, for example. But yeah, that's insane. I mean, the amount of them as well. And I know the US military does have a lot of special forces units, or a lot of units fall under sort of the special forces umbrella. So I'm guessing from this, Rangers are classed as special forces. I'm not too sure. If you do know, like I said, put it in the comments. If they are special forces, or if they're just a highly trained, sort of unit within the regular US Army. So yeah, really interesting stuff. Really, really interesting. Again, like I said, guys, if you want to upload a video or send me a video to do a reaction to, then yeah, I would appreciate it massively. Because that, yeah, like I said, that's really, really interesting. So guys, thank you very much. And as always, I'll catch you all later.